Good evening. A warm welcome to State of Business, RTV's Primetime Business News Bulletin with me, Rukshi Panditaratna. Let's take a look at the headlines first. Central Bank needs to raise $1.9 billion for debt servicing this year, and Monetary Board upwardly revises policy interest rates. And today on Top Stories, Central Bank says they need to raise $2.6 billion in 2017 for debt servicing. Deputy Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said already they have repaid $700 million this year.
Total debt service payments for the whole year is 2.6 billion, including IMF repayments. That is the liability that we have to finance, of which first quarter 3 months already we have paid about 700 million. So the balance period is about 1.9 billion, including IMF repayments. That is the liability on our reserves.
If you look at the numbers, there is hopefully a 1.5 billion sovereign bond issuance and probably up to about 700 million of a syndicated loan. We are also negotiating a further 200 million from the China Development Bank. So that all comes to about 2.4 billion. So that is pretty much, it will meet the obligations for the rest of the year, which is about 1.9 billion. But we will have a very, very thin margin. And if something happens, if there's an oil price hike or some kind of shock hits us, then we will get pushed into a crisis.
The governor added in this context non-debt creating funding such as from the proposed equity transfer of Hambantota Port is highly important to create some kind of cushion.
One of the lessons of the Asian financial crisis was that you must have a good buffer of reserves. It's a kind of an insurance. Now that is what we have to do. We have to get our reserves up ideally to about 10 billion. But if we can get to about 7.5 billion at the end of this year, then we are making correct progress and getting non-debt creating flows like the Hambantota Port long lease, sale proceeds of hotels and commercial real estate that the government owns. Now they're saying they're going to put out some RFPs for some of those things. And it's possible maybe another 500 million may come from that, if you include Mattala Airport as well. So those kind of, you can't, in this highly uncertain, volatile world, you can't operate on the edge, because then one shock and you're over the top, over the precipice. But we are not in a crisis, but we have no margin. These flows will give us a margin.
Monetary Board of the Central Bank has increased key policy interest rates, standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate by 25 basis points each to 7.25% and 8.75% with effective from today. The Central Bank said tightening was necessary as a precautionary measure in order to contain the build-up of adverse inflation expectations and to contain excessive monetary and credit expansion. The central bank said earlier tightening of monetary policy and monetary conditions and the resultant increase in market interest rates are likely to have impacted the growth of credit to the private sector by commercial banks to some extent. Accordingly, the year-on-year growth of private sector credit decelerated further to 20.9% in January 2017 from 21.9% at end 2016. Meanwhile, credit to the public sector increased noticeably, causing year-on-year broad money growth to remain high at 17.7% in January 2017.
I must be honest, this first half of this year is difficult. There's a lot of pressure. That's why you're seeing interest rates going up. The market rates are going up because there is pressure. If you have a situation where there is this bunching and high demand for resources from the government, well then it's going to flow through into the interest rate structure. But this is what we are trying to address through the auction system, and more importantly, that's to improve supply, as I said, to get more savings into the government securities market, but more importantly, to get the demand side under control through better fiscal outcomes. We are not happy with the level of economic activity in the economy. Growth is not as high as we would like it to be. So we don't want to choke the economy even more. So we did 25%, which gives a clear signal that we are intent upon managing inflation expectations and inflation in the future But we want, at the same time, we don't want to choke the economy too much.
General Secretary of Sri Lanka Communist Party Div Gunasekara says Sri Lanka's economy is encountered with a vulnerable situation. Addressing the media, he said the authorities should find solutions for debt burden.
අපේ රට තුළ සුරකම් වල තිබුණා බටහිර රටවල් ආයෝජනය කරලා ඩොලර් බිලියන් 3.5ක්. ඒක දැන් ඩොලර් බිලියන 1ට බහැලා. එතකොට ඒක බලපානවා අපේ විනිමය සංචිතයට. මේ ආණ්ඩුව බලය දෙනකොට සංචිතයේ තිබුණේ බිලියන් 7.4යි. දැන් මේක තමයි පළවෙනි අර්බුදය. විනිමය අර්බුදයක්. ඉතින් විනිමය අර්බුදයක් තියෙනකොට ඊළඟට බඩු ගෙවන්න ගන්න සල්ලි දෙනවා ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක්. අපි දිගටම තිබුණා අපිට තිබුණ අයවැය අර්බුද. ඒ අයවැය අර්බුදයත් උග්‍ර වෙමින් පවතිනවා. මොකද අපේ රජයේ ආදායම් කඩ වැටලා නිසා. දැන් මේ අරුවට පිළියම් දාගත්තේ ණය අරගෙන. දැන් ණය ගැනීමේ උපරිම විල්ලත් ඇවිල්ලා.
Let's take a look at more news after this break. Welcome back. Deputy Minister of Power and Renewable Energy Ajit P. Pereira says that the Ceylon Electricity Board and LECO have been able to complete 100% of electrification in the country. Quoting latest data, the Deputy Minister said 6,514,601 connections have been provided by the CEB and LECO to date.
මේ වන විට 100% අපි විදුලිය සපයලා තියෙනවා සෑම ගම්මානයකටම සෑම දූපතකටම ඊටාම කලාතුරකින් යම් සුවිශේෂ ප්‍රශ්න නිසා ගෙවල් කීපයක් ඉතුරුලා තියෙන පුළුවන් ඒ පිළිබඳව අපිට දැනුම් දෙනවා නම් අපි ඒවා කෙසේ හෝ විසඳන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙයි. හැබැයි තියෙන හැම ප්‍රශ්නයක්ම තියෙන්නේ අපි මුදල් වෙන් කිරීම නිසා නෙමෙයි යම් ප්‍රායෝගික කඳු හෙල් වැනි මේ ජය ගැනීමට අපහසු භෞතික කාරණා නිසා පමණයි. සමස්තයක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් එහෙම 100%ක්ම අපි විදුලිය සපයලා තියෙනවා.
Let's take a look at stocks after this break. Welcome back. The trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended in a positive note today. The All Share Price Index gained 16.43 points to close at 5,996.28 and S&P SL 20 Index gained by 4.72 points to close the session at 3,416.68. The turnover was rupees 1.9 billion and 51.2 million shares were traded. Let's take a look at today's Forex rates. Now we have this week's Dealing Room update.
Sri Lanka's central bank raised interest rates for the first time in 8 months on Friday, saying tighter policy was a precaution against the build-up of inflationary pressure. The central bank raised rates by 25 basis points, pushing the standing deposit facility rate to a 4-year peak of 7.25% and the standing lending facility rate to 8.75%, its highest since July 2013. The IMF on March 7 urged the central bank to tighten monetary policy if credit growth or inflation does not abate. Sri Lanka's private sector credit growth remains stubbornly high, which has paved the way for inflation. Credit grew 20.9% year-on-year in January compared with 21.9% in December. The Sri Lankan rupee ended slightly weaker in thin trade on Thursday as dollar demand from importers surpassed selling of the US currency by exporters. Rupee forwards were active with 2-week forwards ending at 152.45 to 152.55 per dollar compared with Wednesday's close of 152.40 to 152.60. At this week's T-bill auction, all three maturities saw a rate increase. 3 months increased from 9.47% to 9.57%. The 6-month increased from 10.39% to 10.46%, while the 1-year increased by 8 basis points to 10.74 from 10.82%. The interbank overnight core money rate was at 8.0%, to 8.75% and repo rates hovered around 8.70% to 8.75%. The market liquidity as of Wednesday stood at a negative 13.163. The bond yields last week slightly reduced due to demand from foreign investors. The liquid bond on the 1st of August 2026 last traded at 13.10 levels during trading hours.
Thank you for watching State of Business. See you tomorrow with Biz Roundup. Have a fantastic weekend. Take care. Good night.